Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to continue on with the refinishing of my Vangoa VA20CE BK ML matte black. We've already done the soundboard and the back, taken the matte black off of them. So today I think we're going to attack the headstock and the neck. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the sides or not. We're going to leave that for now. So when we do the headstock, I might just do the faceplate, and the neck might leave the trim, just to match the trim on here. We'll see how that goes. But what this will mean is we're going to be taking the tuner heads off. So what you're going to need there is a deep 10mm socket, and you want a deep 10mm because a shallow one will push off your whichever ratchet, speed handle, whatever it is you use, if by the spindle when you go down into a shallow socket. So we want a deep socket. The other thing is I'm going to, of course, mark them all as to where they go, because the second one on the low side, which I put there purposely because it breaks strings and it's got to go on the low side strings. On a 12 string, the only string on the low side that is wrapped is the second one from the top. So it has a little burr on it or something. It breaks strings. So we're going to probably have a look at that as well once we get it off, see if we can smoothen it out. But that's where we're going today. So hang on one second and I will get the camera in for a close-up. And so here we go. We're going to start with this one down here just because. Make sure this is on loosening. Left-hander, so you got to always check it twice, and that is not loosening. That is loosening. So we're going to take the nut off first. Which is actually a ferrule. So it's threaded on the inside or on the outside, smooth down the middle. And there, of course, is a washer, which will be easier pulled up with a magnet. If only I had a magnet. Stand by. So all these washers, once you get them off there using your magnet, they have a side that is rounded off and then there's a side that is sharp. You always want to put because the thing has been stamped. So the cutter came down and stamped the outside and the inside, hence there's a little burr on the inside. You want that to be against the wood to kind of dig in there. So when you just feel it, you'll see which side is smooth and which is not. Put that on. Now, that doesn't let this come out. So what we need to do here is flip the guitar over, and there is a little screw down in the bottom corner of the tuner, and it will be a Phillips, and it will be a small. Be careful with these because they will strip very easily. So once you pull the screw out, then the tuner head will come out. Instantly put this right back on there so that you keep track. Everything is still there. The screw I've already put in the bin, and there we have it. Now we're going to mark it, and how we're going to mark it is with what else? Painter's tape. So I'm just going to put a little piece of tape around the end. And then we will mark it as the largest, or probably go with number 1, and then I will just number them 1 through 12, 1 being the thickest, down to the skinniest, which will be number 12. And make sure you keep it all together. So 1, yeah, let's use a Sharpie. I'm sorry, not a Sharpie. We're going to use a black marking utensil because this is not a paid promotion. So there we have a little number 1 to signify it's the largest. Okay, now rinse and repeat 11 more times, and keep all your hardware in a good spot where you will not lose it. So we may as well take all of these screws out first, because that will keep us from having to turn it back and forth 11 times. And you know how to take screws out, right? Just be careful because they are small, they are Phillips, they are easily stripped. And there, the last one, number 12. So what I've done is just wrapped the tape around, try to get it in around the inner spool as close as possible so that it doesn't come off, and write the number 12. Well, the number 12 doesn't fit, doesn't look very much like a number 12. Luckily, all the other ones do look like their number. So there we go. All of our hardware in one spot, which goes in a safe spot where I won't knock it over and lose anything. So now we're going to get out the 180 sandpaper and do at least this front part for sure. I'm not sure on the sides, the front, the back, and the neck. Probably going to go through all of them. I'm debating on the back or on the neck whether I want to do this, I think, but my other idea was to sand up through here and then just stop at the flute onto this. But no, I think we're going to go right up and do the whole thing. Or maybe not, because if I want to leave this black, maybe I should leave it a bit there. We're going to see once we get to that point. Now, the only other thing is, once we're sanding, we are going to fill these holes. That's probably a good thing, because that won't be a good thing, because what that's going to do is make it so that when we go to put our screws back in, which are miniature ones with a Phillips head, we're going to strip them. Yeah. Whoever invented the Phillips screw, I have a feeling your name's Philip or Phillips. You should never have done that. Here in Canada, we use the Robertson, which is the square. So you put the square thing in there, and there's absolutely no chance, very little chance of you stripping it. A Phillips is the stripping waiting to happen, and a straight blade is just precursor to stitches. Either way, enough of that rant. Let's get on with the sandpaper. And of course, because the sandpaper is going to create a big mess of black dust everywhere. I've removed the cover from the board, bench, whatever you want to call it, just so that I don't get that black into that pad, because that pad is soft, and that's why I use it on the board, so that the back of the guitars don't get scratched on anything. So now, sanding is not conducive to the microphone, so pretend you know what sanding looks like. And that's what it will look like. Now, of course, I've gone a little too far around some of the edges. There is a sealer on it of some sort that was below the matte black finish, and I have gone down to bare wood in spots around here, trying to get these rings from around the tuning head holes. But I don't care, basically. And I did go cross the grain up in here to get that part, but I don't care. It's a very inexpensive guitar. It's not going anywhere. I'm not planning on selling it or anything like that. But now I'm thinking of removing some of the headstock, because there's no insignia there anymore, and it's way too long. Like, geez. Now I'm thinking I might just round it out, cut across. I thought about putting a little ding in there, but then that would almost be like cheating Yamaha, and I don't want to do that. So there we go from there. But now for the sides, do I want to leave those sides black? I don't think so, because if I cut the end off here, then I would have a bare end. So I may as well remove that completely right down through the neck. And then of course that's gonna entail me doing the rest of the surround of the body down there. But all in time. This is what I really wanted to get done, was this part, and then decide on the rest of the headstock and the neck, which I believe is about to go away. I'm going to have a little issue along the binding here along the side with the sanding. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I might take some of that green tape and just cover it over to kind of protect it a little bit while I'm sanding. Don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but away we go, on to the next step. Well, there's a surprise for you. The front and the back of this headstock are not the same. So I'm starting to wonder if the front is laminated or not. And if so, what are the sides? Well. Ain't that a kick in the nads? Not that I care either way, because as I say, this is an experimental guitar. I'm gonna see what it looks like when I'm done with it. But I'm guessing at this point, I've kind of decided I'm going to cut the top off this. There's about 9 millimeters between the outside hole and this edge, all the way along there. I'm thinking maybe 9 or 12 millimeter across the top. And then I'll just round it out a bit at the sides. But yeah, I was not expecting to see that darker wood there. But let's continue on, see where it goes from here. And yes, because I am going to cut off the top, I am going to sand down the sides. And then we'll see if the front really is laminated or if it's whatever we find in there. So this will conclude our broadcast day. It's not a very long video, so might just be part one. Might be right back with going at it again tomorrow. But we did do the back of the neck, and it actually turned out not too bad. There's a couple of spots where I think I might have come right down through whatever sealer they had on the wood, but as I say, this isn't going to be a pristine overview or override. It's just going to be get away from the matte black. And it looks like I'm going to have to do the rest of it. I don't know. We'll take a look and see. I'll get you a close up here of the back of the neck though. And so here it is. Now that's just a little oil off my fingers or something. I'll get that out eventually. But it doesn't have really a bad grain on it at all. And the heel is a two-piece, so it's a slightly different shade. Now there were some spots like this. Those are where I think I've gone through the whatever sealer they had on it. There's another one up here. But as I say, I'm not looking for this thing to be a pristine, perfect guitar. I just want it to be good. And that bare wood is nice and smooth. I did go over the couple of these little spots here with some 600, but I honestly don't know. I'm thinking I might give this thing a finish of probably the boiled linseed oil. We'll see how that finishes off, how it looks. But now, all this, that is going to be a pain to sand, let me tell you, because this here was a pain to sand because I'm trying to go with the grain, and the grain's different from this part. Anyways, that's it for this week. Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me if you think this is cool. It's not worth doing. I know that part. Like, it's not worth it dollars and cents wise. It's an awful lot of labor on a very inexpensive guitar, but when it's done, I think she's going to be beautiful. So once again, thanks for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me what I did right, what I did wrong. I know I do things wrong. I'm not a luthier, just an old guy with too much time on my hands. And too much time on my hands is what has contributed to this going bare. But I like it. Catch you next time. Bye now.